Good morning. So, I saw yesterday when I made the video of Dark Night of the Soul and a Spiritual Awakening that a lot of people actually watched that. So, I thought I would continue forward with what next. After you have this spiritual awakening, a lot of times you're sitting here going, I don't understand. Like, life doesn't make sense. Believe me, I know. I felt like I was an alien on a planet that I didn't belong on, and it became very hard to trust people, especially myself. I had gotten so out of alignment with who I was, what I liked, what I stood for, if family was even for me, and I felt very, very alone. And I know when you start waking up from this sleep that we get put in by society, it's hard, and you are basically alone, But one thing I had to remind myself is I'm never alone, ever. I have an awesome team of ancestors and spirit guides and guardians, and some people might think this sounds like cuckoo, but there's a part of life that no one really discusses. So on the spiritual side, there's so much that is left out, and I think a lot of that is because we function out of ego in this world. And ego was something we needed when we were in the caveman time, and that was to maintain your territory and be the boss and not be the weak link, right? But in the society that we live in, nobody is really battling to upgrade in life, because we have that 1% that sits on top, and then we trickle down from there, right? So when it comes to it, ego really is of no use other than for you to battle with people around you. And that's not getting us anywhere, because in actuality, we are a whole, a collective. So when you hurt your brother or sister, or neighbor, or cousin, whoever, you're hurting yourself. So you have to remember that even though you are alone in this moment, because a lot of people are still sleeping, they're not going to understand your identity crisis, let's say. And it's more of a, your spirit's waking up and kind of yelling at you like, hey, this is not what we're here for. And I remember a time when I was in Mexico, and I was sitting on a balcony, and this was towards the end of a 16-year marriage. And I'm sitting there, and I kept praying, what do I do? What's the next step? And I kept getting the answer, leave. And for years, it was, no, that's not an option. No, that's not an option. Because I had made a promise, I had made my vows, and I was very, very adamant through better or worse. And honestly, had I stayed, I would not be sitting here talking to you today, because worse became hell. So I remember sitting on that balcony and praying, and it was the strangest feeling, the strangest situation actually, because I saw inside of my face me looking at me, and then all of a sudden I just my spirit screamed at me, and it startled me, and I was like, I've never experienced anything like that before. And it was basically me telling me to wake up. You've gotten the message. This is what you need to do. But I had been so addicted, I guess, to that pain and trauma that I had no clue, what do I do next? I had always been a stay-at-home mom, not living comfortably, but we lived on $1,000 a month military pension that was his. And I stretched that money I made everything from scratch. We lived like we were in the 1800s. We lived by wood-burning stoves. Didn't have hot or cold water. I had to heat water in a stock pot, and we all got about this much water in the bathtub to bathe with. And I washed clothes in the bathtub by hand, and I hung them on the line to dry, sometimes in the desert, which is never fun because when the wind blows, you just have mud on your clothes again. But anyways, just a little story to share that times might be hard, and the more you go through these hard times, this is where your spirit starts going, this is not what it's supposed to be like. This is not life. So when I finally got the courage to leave, I loaded up both of my kids in the excursion that we had at the time, old excursion, and I drove out of basically drug cartel country with no map, one that I had drawn out on a piece of paper. I did not have a cell phone. I didn't have money. Had a debit card that had barely any money on it, and I had set my intentions that I was done. So I left the day before my 36th birthday. No, it was my 37th birthday, because I'll be 40 in January, and it will be 3 years that he's gone. No child support, doesn't anything. But anyways, beside the point. This is just kind of let you know that times can get hard. I know, I've been there, and I did this the whole time. Nobody knew. And the lying to myself, the lying to everyone around me, making my kids believe that we were on vacation rather than homeless, my spirit wouldn't take it anymore. And I had to finally be true to myself and save myself and save them. And if it were not for them, I don't know if I would have found the courage to leave. But I still remember the day that my spirit woke me up. I still remember the day that we drove away. And I feel in my heart for their dad, because some people will never stand up and fight their demons. And if you are, I'm so proud of you, because it's a battle. It is a battle between the spirit and the devil within you, right? That light and dark, that positive and negative. So I understand you're going through something that you feel like you'll never make it through, and I promise you, you'll make it. Just make sure that you pray. Make sure that you spend time alone. Try to meditate. Try to get the answers to come flowing, because what's above, so below. You know, you've got Mother Earth beneath your feet, and you've got the divine above you, and you're kind of the in-between. So the messages that you can get, that you can share with the world, often come from you sitting alone in silence. And I remember knowing, feeling, I had never heard so much noise and silence. And that feeling came particularly from being with somebody who would use the silent treatment as punishment for me. And I'm a very social person. And the way that somebody who's trying to control you will manipulate you, it breaks your heart until it wakes up your heart. So I just want you to know that even if you're alone and there's no one around, you're not alone. You can find that comfort and that love within you, because that's the one place it's coming from. Because the world is a reflection of you. And I know it's really hard sometimes to even look yourself in the face. It took me months of training me to forgive myself, to respect myself, to love myself. And at this time, I'm learning to trust others, and that's a scary one. That is one of the scariest things, because you want to take the past hurts that other people have done to you and apply them to every situation that you will encounter. But understand that when you get to this point that your spirit has awoken and you're going, what do I do now? Like, I don't understand what's next. Don't hold your breath too long. Just start thinking about, what do I like? What color do I like? What foods do I like? What did I used to like to do when I was a kid? Try to tap back in to your child inside, because oftentimes we abandon ourselves as children because we're not allowed to speak up. We're told that we're wrong. We are constantly corrected. We are judged according to our peers. And this is not fair for anybody, because just like Albert Einstein says, you don't judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree. So considering that we're all unique in our own way, and we're told to push those gifts to the side. Don't stand out. And I'm here to tell you today, stand out and shine like the star that you are. Don't let anyone take that from you, and try to raise your kids in such a way that you teach them to be unique, because the world needs them to show up in the manner of who they are, what they have to offer, because we're fading intellectually, we're fading from the heart, and war is abundant, drugs are rampant, alcoholism is obscene. We abandon ourselves so regularly that of course our spirit is trying to wake up, because a lot of people will say this is the end times, and I won't argue with them. But the one thing that I've thought, I'm not saying this is anyone else's truth, but it's mine, the rapture happens for somebody every day, because somebody's always dying. You know, the cycle of life. You come and go, ebb and flow. So don't wait until you're on your deathbed to wake up. Don't wake up in the moment that it's and then you're gone. Instead, some of you have awoken and you're here trying to figure out, what do I do next? Get a journal. Start writing. Hone into your creative aspects. You know, can you paint? Can you draw? Do you like dancing? Do you like singing? Do you like cooking? Do you like sewing? Get back to work with your hands, because even gardening, that will put you back in balance with nature. And when you can rebalance yourself with nature, because we're very unbalanced with nature and in balance with society, but that goes back to that virtual reality and that physical reality. So when you can get back in tune with who you are, where you came from, what you're here to do, you'll start finding that the world's smiling back at you, that you are seen, that you make a difference. And the more you raise your vibration, you're going to start attracting people of a higher vibration. It's not going to be the toxic people that backhand compliment you or tear you down. No, instead you're going to start finding your place that you can call home. And I think we're all honestly just trying to get home. And some people might be like, what does that mean? I have a house. A house might be a shelter, but if there's no love in it, it's not a home. If you don't open your doors to those in need, what kind of home do you have? You've created a jail cell for yourself. So I know I'm bouncing around a lot, and I'm hoping that I'm giving you tidbits of information that will help anything make sense to you right now, because I know it's freaking hard. Like I said, just try to learn to love yourself again. And a mantra that helped me a lot was Ho'oponopono. It's a Hawaiian mantra to help heal the lost love, basically. And it was created for marriages that were on the verge of divorce, and it would help them to forgive each other so that they could stay in the relationship and still love one another. And I Ho'oponopono'd myself so many times, and I felt like I became my own stalker. But now I can look at me and be like, girl, you got it going on, and stand with my head held high and take no crap from nobody, because I'm awesome. And it's taken me a long time to be able to say I'm awesome and not let anybody else take that belief away from me. Because for the longest time I'd be like, here's my power, you can have it, because I thought if I don't make a choice, I'm not responsible for anything. And that is the dumbest concept that anybody could have. So just to let you know, make choices, be bold, be responsible for your life, your actions, your choices, how you treat others, what you believe in. Find the backbone, find the courage to stand up for what you think is right. And I remember the women I used to see, not just the women, but the people I would see back in the late 80s, early 90s, when deforestation was not so abundant, So they would chain themselves to the trees. And I thought, when I grow up, I'm going to chain myself to a tree. Little did I know by the time I was growing up that you could be arrested, that the trees were going to be mostly guarded behind fences, and freedom was not so abundant anymore. So just don't lose sight of what really matters. And what truly matters is your heart, your soul, your spirit, your mind, your life. And don't let anybody dictate how you're going to allow yourself to be happy and strive and survive. Because other people, trying to word this in a way that it's not offensive, other people don't give a shit about you. They only care about themselves. We've been taught to be guarded, protected, suspicious of everyone around us, to go in and get yours and get out, right? Go make that money, no matter at what cost. So, only thing I can keep telling you is don't give up. And there was a lot of things I had to do to get back up here and start taking away the voices that were not mine. And I'll come back later and share those tips with you. But for now, I've got to get to work for the day. And hold your head up, and just like I told one of my coworkers a minute ago, smile through the shit. I promise you're going to make it. So, peace, love, and light. Bye-bye. Have a great day.